Americana by Billy McNabb. Fade in. Interior, vehicle, night. Music plays loudly through the car stereo. A male right hand grips a revolver. The chamber open, empty. The left hand slides a single bullet into the chamber, then gives it a spin. With a flick of the wrist, the hand snaps the chamber shut. Slowly, the revolver is elevated to the man's right temple. Insert, trigger. Slow motion. A right index finger finds its way to the trigger and begins to squeeze. Interior, bedroom, day. Very early morning in a tidy, dated bedroom. Day has not yet begun to break through the drawn open curtains. The bedroom looks and feels of an elderly person's room. Pictures hang on the walls. Cards, poems, and other thoughtful memorabilia are displayed throughout the room in frames, shadow boxes, etc. Most of the pictures show the same man and woman, either together or the woman by herself. The pictures span many decades, evidencing a couple very much in love, well-traveled, with no indication of them ever having children. Insert, alarm clock. An alarm clock that reads 5 o'clock begins to buzz. An old wrinkled hand wearing a white wrist sweatband turns off the alarm. Back to scene. Alone in the bedroom, already awake, a small, framed, 75-year-old Caucasian man, Earl, exercises. Earl is clothed in gray sweatpants, white vintage Chuck Taylor sneakers, nearly knee-high striped tube socks, head and wristbands, and a wife-beater tank undershirt. Having turned off the alarm, he resumes exercising. Interior, Simons's room, day. An alarm clock displaying 7:30 buzzes. A tall and heavy-set guy in his early 30s, Simons, lays dead asleep in his bed, totally unresponsive to the obnoxious-sounding alarm. The television, tuned to a music video channel, plays an 80s hairband video. Empty snuff cans and miscellaneous snack food items litter the disheveled room, decorated with rock memorabilia and bikini posters. But for the ties and suit coats hanging and strewn about in odd places, the room has the look and feel of that of a college frat guy. Simons is totally non-responsive to the knock on the bedroom door. The door opens. A 58-year-old lady, Simons' mother, peeks her head in. She speaks to Simons in a sweet, kind voice.
Wake up, honey.
Simons rolls over in bed and covers his head with his pillow. His mother enters the room and turns off the alarm clock. She picks up and sorts items on her way through the room. She slightly opens the blinds to begin to let the morning light in. She reaches for the remote control to presumably turn the television volume down. Instead, she turns the volume up. The rock song continues, playing, but louder.
You need to be at Earl's in a half an hour. And your breakfast is ready, sweetheart.
As she moves to exit the room, she kindly pats his feet sticking out from under the sheets.
I packed y'all's lunch, too.
Thanks, Ma.
Interior, school, day. Empty and quiet, locker-lined public middle school hallway. The school bell rings, and almost instantly the classroom doors fly open. Junior high-age kids race out of the classrooms and quickly fill the hallways with noise, mass, and mayhem. Teachers file out of their classrooms and into the halls as they yell at the kids to quit running and yelling. The kids don't even acknowledge. A 34-year-old tall and tan teacher, Gus, with shoulder-length brown hair and a 5 o'clock shadow, wearing sandals, jeans, and a casual shirt, stands in the hallway outside a classroom. He monitors the chaos, but with less conviction than his fellow teachers. His eyes pierce through the crowd of pandemonium onto a small group of boys who are cutting up. The boys are clothed in various manners, all trying to be different and cool, but looking like scrawny 13-year-olds. Their eyes meet. The kids freeze. Gus purposefully walks towards them.
Hey, you guys better mellow out or some heads are gonna roll.
After a brief and intense stare down, Gus and the young boys all burst out laughing.
You guys have a great summer.
Gus pats them on their backs.
And stay out of the trees.
Oh, funny man, ain't that a bitch?
Hey, that's my line. Get your own material, McLovin.
The boys scurry off. The smile on Gus's face fades as he makes eye contact with a 45-year-old, clean-cut male, principal, making his way through the kids towards Gus. The principal stops directly in front of Gus and with a very solemn expression places his left hand on Gus's shoulder as he hands him an envelope with his right hand. He is about to say something very important to Gus, but the words don't come out. He pauses and just stares directly into Gus's eyes, then puts his head down with a disappointed sigh, turns, and walks away. Gus folds the envelope and sticks it in his back pocket without even looking at it. A 13-year-old, sweet-looking, all-American type of girl, Sally, makes her way through the pandemonium and toward Gus.
Mr. Clay, I really liked your class. I appreciate everything you did for us.
Thanks, Sally.
The field trips, it was also inspirational, so eye-opening.
It was my pleasure. Big plans for the summer?
Nothing special. practice piano, babysit my little brother. Mr. Clay, I'm sorry about everything you're going through.
Oh, thank you. I'll be okay knowing I have friends like you.
Gus half-assedly resumes his hall monitoring. Exterior, horse track, day. Midday in the grandstands of a moderately crowded horse track. The starting bell rings and the race announcer addresses the crowd. And they're off. Simons laughs and drinks beer with Earl as they watch the horses race around the track. Both are dressed in business attire, sans jackets. Simons pulls a can of snuff out of his pocket and puts a big pinch into his mouth, either oblivious to or uncaring about the amount he spills. Spilling his beer, Simons puts the snuff can back into his pocket.
Hey, Earl, you ain't very big, man. You could have been a jockey.
No, and spill my drink with all that bucking around? No thanks.
Earl coughs, then wipes his mouth with a slightly blood-stained handkerchief, catching Simon's attention.
Damn, Earl. You need to get that checked out.
I will, son.
Earl folds the handkerchief and neatly tucks it in his back pocket. The announcer calls out the race. The intensity of the announcer and the spectators increases as the race progresses.
I will, but for now, we got a race to win.
Earl gestures to direct Simon's attention back to the race. They both look back to the track and yell out at the horses, now on the sprint for the finish. Simons louder and more enthusiastically than Earl. Interior, building lobby, morning. Early morning in a bustling and crowded office building lobby. People scurry about with coffee, newspapers, briefcases, breakfast pastries, etc. in hand, making their way to work. Some of the people greet and speak to each other. Others just go on their own way, hurriedly, but still friendly. In the elevator area, a 20-ish attractive female rushes to the closing elevator doors. She sticks her arm out, causing the nearly closed doors to reopen, exposing a crowded elevator. As the doors open, the elevator buzzer buzzes, indicating an overcrowded elevator. The girl stops, steps back, and addresses the strangers.
Sorry, I didn't know you were full. Come on in, honey. We'll make room for you.
The lady looks to the elevator control panel, the source of the buzzing.
And don't you worry about that. It's been buzzing ever since I got in here.
Following a shy, sincere, appreciative smile and thank you, the young female enters the crowded elevator. Others in the elevator smile and graciously move to make room for her. A clean-cut guy, Park Douglas, in his late 30s, dressed in an obnoxious pinstripe business suit, sighs and dramatically raises his arm to check his watch, exposing his monogrammed shirt cuffs and fancy cufflinks. Park huffs as he lowers his arm back down to his side, not having actually even checked the time on his watch, to make it known just how much he's been inconvenienced by the other's friendly gesture of momentarily stalling the elevator for the girl to enter.
Park
Voice
Douglas. He used to be Earl's understudy until he decided fraud investigation would be a better fit for him. Sales wasn't for everybody. What a client book he could have taken over when Earl keeled over a day may not be far off. Just babysit the old man, and soon enough the residuals would be rolling in. But no. Fraud investigator's a better fit for him, so they said. No hefty commissions or residuals for fraud investigators.
Interior, cafe, day. Morning in a small independent diner. A typical breakfast crowd uneventfully eats breakfast and sips coffee. The cook finishes preparing an order. He places 2 plates of breakfast on the pickup window and rings the order bell with his spatula. Order up! A waitress grabs the order, plate in each hand, and walks it to customers seated at the counter, passing a second waitress, Tamara, in her mid-20s, pretty, with her auburn hair up in a bun. Tamara takes an order from a clean-cut, handsome, 33-year-old guy, JT, dressed in business attire.
You're becoming quite a regular around here. Let me guess. Ham and cheese omelet and a side of fruit?
Glad you noticed. And yes.
Tamara turns as she tears off the order ticket and places it on the order wheel. With a coffee carafe in hand, she tops off a few customer coffee cups, then places the coffee carafe back on the warmer. Standing with her back to JT, she looks down into an open textbook on the counter, resuming her studying. As she reads, she highlights a sentence in the book. A few long strands of her hair dangle. As she tucks a strand behind her ear, she glances into a small mirror and sees the reflection of JT looking at her. Busted, he quickly looks away and sips his coffee. As he places his coffee cup down, he glances back at the mirror to catch her brief smile back at him. Exterior, Gus's vehicle, dusk. Alone, Gus drives an older, circa early 80s Toyota Land Cruiser. He listens to the music playing on his car stereo. He dials numbers into a mobile phone and places the phone to his ear. Interior, JT's office, continuous. JT sits at his office desk with an open file in front of him. He types on his computer as he alternatively looks into the monitor and the file. His phone rings. Intercut telephone conversation.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm on my way. You ready?
Yeah, I'm here.
About 5 minutes away.
Yeah, right on.
I'd like to get this done and over with.
Yeah, I can't speed it up any faster, but you can sure slow it down.
I know, dude. Would it make you feel any better if I blamed it all on her?
Gee, I feel much better now. You coming prepared?
I'm bringing whatever I could find.
All right, front door should be unlocked. Lock it behind you. I'll see you in a few, all right?
Roger that.
Interior, JT's office continuous. The clock on the wall reads 7:35. JT and Gus are seated in JT's office. JT at his desk and Gus seated across from him in a straight-backed client chair. Gus wears the same clothes from school, but now his shirt tail hangs out, partially unbuttoned. The office looks unassuming, organized but not immaculate. A typical attorney office, but on the simple side, with no fancy lobby nor waiting area and no visual indication of JT having staff or employees. JT goes through a stack of paperwork.
The bills?
Right here.
Gus pulls out several of the documents that are paper clipped together and hands them across the desk to JT. JT shuffles through the documents, pulling a few out and places them down in front of him on the desk.
Man, you weren't kidding. And she did all this?
Yep. She couldn't keep up with the Joneses on my teacher's pay.
Maybe not, but, you gotta give her an A for effort.
If this is a pep talk, could you segue to the peppy part?
How you holding up, man?
Not good, man, not good. And she never loved me. She just loved the idea of going slumming with a bad boy surfer type. That mystique wore off shortly after the honeymoon.
I wish I knew what to say.
End of the first 10 pages.